Kingsman 007G. Welcome back to another daily race event. Today we're going to be checking out, let me see. Let me head over to the sports area. And we're going to be checking out, let's see. Race competition. Before we get into our daily racing, we're going to check out the viewers campaign. I'm going to check out the last race. It's dynamic viewing. Open list. I'm going to look at a lap from the Manufacturers Cup Grand Finale, which was recorded on 9/20/25. Alright, so without further ado, let's go to it. This is a Group 3 category race. Had, as far as the settings, racing hard, medium, and soft tires were available. Starting grid order was the qualifying order. Number of laps, 6 laps. And fuel consumption was at 2x, tire wear 4x. And the race type was a rolling start. So let's go ahead and check this out. Alright, so this has to download, so see how long. It shouldn't take that long to download. Now, while we're waiting for that, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Here in Berlin for Gran Turismo World Series 2. How is this one going to play out, and how are the championship tables going to reflect the results as we head further into the World Series of this season? Well, Kylian Drumont continues the strong momentum for Subaru as they line up on pole position here today with Thomas Laboutelle and BMW alongside. Then it's Porsche. Disappointment in London. They bounce back to start P3 ahead of Mikolaj Sejak in 4th position, the Polish driver who makes his debut for Nissan. Then it's Pole Eura for Mazda, P5. Valerio Gallo in the Honda NSX is 6th on the grid. Lucas Bonelli lines up P7 for Mercedes AMG, and Alfiler with the Saudi Arabian driver for Toyota, P8. De Bruyne lines up P9, and then you've got Giorgio Mangano in 10th position for Lexus. João Jesus, for Ferrari in 11th position, and Jay Murphy, the McLaren driver. A lot of support for him here tonight. And now, of course, our first look at the tyre strategies for the first time. Now, we can see the top two, Drumont and Laboutelet, they've started on the soft competitive tyre, which to me indicates that they're going to try and make a break early.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've seen the pace from Drumont in qualifying, and of course Laboutelet, both very quick over a single lap. Last thing they want to do is ruin the ability to run that pace by running in a pack. So, yeah, go for soft tyre. I'm surprised to see Sejak there running the hard tyre in P4. So he will be basically in the way of all the medium runners behind, but the longer he can keep them there, the better for his race. So definitely some strategy in those tyre calls already.
Yeah, it seems like he's sort of trying to go ugly early, as it were. Get those hard tyres out of the way as soon as he possibly can. Hold the pack up while they're all quite close behind and see whether he can use that to his advantage.
All right, so here we go.
What will happen? Who has
got the commentaries on here.
Who will be taking the checkered flag and those all-important 6 points? We're about to find out.
We have the
Gran
dynamic
Turismo
settings on.
World Series 2 for the Manufacturers' Cup here in Berlin is underway. Drumont and Subaru lead them down towards the first corner, followed by Laboutelet and then Serrano and then Sejak in the Porsche and the Nissan respectively. Don't expect any dive bombs down into that first corner, but Serrano closing up. I say that, there are some dive bombs taking place as Europe is making hay whilst the sun shines. He's already on the attack against Sejak, but Sejak goes back through on Valerio Gallo as well as Europe, back up into fourth. So moves being made in the mid-pack there, and Sejak looking a little bit vulnerable as we expected on those hard tyres.
Yeah, Sejak there showing Europe on the other side of the circuit. Really hard landing early on. We're seeing some difference there, those hard tyres. They take a while to fire up, they're going to be cold right now, and they're cold, they're less grip. So right now, Europe and Nelly Gallo all making advantage of the fact they have a softer compound.
I got to the tap on the side.
Like he's standing still. You could argue maybe that's not a bad thing in terms of the spot. So maybe Sejak has gone from 4th to 7th in about 3 corners.
Yeah, losing track position means of course we're going to have to gain that a little bit later on. You can see fairly robust driving from Sejak coming through the Michael Schumacher S there. Well, he's just got Alpha in the Lamborghini right behind him, who's only needing competitive tyres. Then you've got 3 other hard shot runners. Meanwhile, sharp end of this race, nothing really to report from Drumont and Laboutelet. They've cleared off about a second or so ahead of Jose Serrano, as one would begin to expect. The first corner incident here is under investigation, as we can see on our screen as well. I'm just going to replay of that and see exactly what happened. We did see some dive bombs to the inside there from Paul Europe, but was there a bit more that meets the eye that we perhaps didn't quite manage to make a break on? Anyway, we go on to the Nordschleifer layout for the first time. It's Drumont in front from Laboutelet, and now it's those soft tyres on these medium speed corners.
To barriers being far away gravel traps, to basically if you make a mistake, you are in that barrier. And lots of curves here, you can memorise what you can, what you can't touch. It's a unique challenge just to get around here on your own, let alone with this sharing the circuit with 11 other maniacs. So, a lot of fun here. But speaking of maniacs, is there a guy in the NSX, very, very fast driver, and trying to close it out himself and Jose Serrano. So Serrano is the leader of the medium runners.
Let out.
Having to try and defend him from Thomas Laboutelet. He's going to look maybe around the outside here. Not really as much as that done. But again, we're seeing the Achilles heel of that Subaru. They've ended up able to drive up to the back of him, but to decide better of it is Thomas Laboutelet. He's going to stay in second place from there.
Well, a little bit deep though going into that right hand. I wonder if that might have compromised a little bit. He's certainly feeling the pressure here of his compatriot. Two friends at the sharp end of this race. And you can see how Laboutelet's able to use that slipstream to his advantage to close up. I don't think he's going to invent something into this section of the circuit because it will both send them into the barrier. And indeed, Laboutelet thinks better of it. But the question is here for Kylian Drumont, how long can he keep Laboutelet behind? Is he going to cost them time though as well? Because Serrano's there, 2 seconds off the back of them. If the top 2 start squabbling amongst one another, all that's going to do is bring them back into the gap that they've created and bring Serrano and Gallo potentially into play for this.
Yeah, think the long game here. Everyone's on different strategies. Everyone's trying to do thing is. I think if I'm Thomas Laboutelet in that BMW, I'm thinking, right, okay, I know I'm going to pass this guy on the back straight wide within half a second. So I'll just stay there for now and let this guy peel off because in that medium speed corners, that Subaru was super quick anyway. In fact, see what was it? It was Giorgio Mangano contact there. Oh, it's a Supra there, Toyota getting spun, kind of broke, but then
part of the circuit really does bottleneck up, so I guess race directors just deeming it, first corner dramas, don't do it again. As long as that doesn't happen any further times, then it should be all right. So let's look at the drivers here. We've got the whole compounds of tyres, like I said, Jack
Bootleg's like he's closing the gap a little bit.
How are they going to play this one? Because of course they're hemorrhaging time. They're sort of taking the pain early on, but in theory the race will come back to them in the latter stages, depending on what strategies they go for. You can see that brought up on our screen at the moment. You can get 2 laps under soft tyres, but you're particularly careful. Like if you're the likes of Gt7 and Trevon, I mean, look, they cleared up 3 seconds on the sharp end of this one. They're not hanging about it. They're not saving their tyres.
The BMW's got more top end on this portion of the track. Definitely more top end. The draft is playing a part of it. You're going to see when we get up to the twisties who has quicker through the curves, quicker through the bends.
Yeah, as you say, Tom, like it's just trying to make sure you don't fall too far back at this point. And it just, I get the impression that Boutelet is just kind of biding his time. You see the background there, that is the gap visually to third position at the start of those medium runners. So for the carousel for the first time, great bit of racetrack there. Build the car, fighting for its life there, and going there, leading the charge for fourth place onwards. But I say, if anything, falling back from Rhino a little bit.
It's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out, because I mentioned the hard shot runners, damage limitation for them, but exactly the same story for the medium shot runners. You've got now 3 sort of sets of drivers all in their own group, all running their own strategy. So this is what happens when manufacturers come in and races like this. They're not necessarily the most action-packed ones in the first couple of laps, but towards the end, once all the strategies all work out, the fuel stops, the tyre saving, and so on and so forth, once they've all taken place, you get a really exciting crescendo to this race. So the likes of Trevon and Boutelet, fine, the race is great for them in these early stages of it, but the latter stages, they're going to be taking that pain that the drivers on the medium and the hard runners are suffering from now. So they're going to be slower towards the end of the race, and the converse for those behind.
They're coming through the last third of the Nordschleife. Now, my favourite bit of racetrack this, it's just so fast, so flowing. You have to really trust the car through here, especially through this section here. You come over the Flansgarten jump, see it coming off the floor there, and then you're met immediately with the Stefan Beloff S coming up now, where the car just skips all over the place. You almost have to just trust in that mysterious aerodynamic thing that you can't see, but it is there, and then just thread the car through the curve. This exhilarating piece of racetrack, but it is very much one at a time through there, as Gallo has pulled away slightly from Paul Euro. Now, what I'm interested in seeing now is whether Drumont has managed to gap Boutelet, which he has a little bit, a second now. That is kind of getting out of draft range, so that might mean the Boutelet won't be able to pass here going down towards T1.
Yeah, let's see whether Boutelet can use the straight line speed to his advantage if he can close up, as you say, from that gap that has been created. What about Lucas Benelli, Mercedes-AMG? Benelli, we can see him there, very interesting driving position that he has. He sort of sits quite close to the wheel, almost on it, really, whereas you look at Paul Euro, much more relaxed in terms of his arm positioning there. And now Benelli has got the bit between his teeth, because he's got the slipstream and he's got the straight line speed to take advantage of Paul Euro as we come down the Döttinger. Side by side we go between the Mazda and the Mercedes. It's going to be nice and easy for the Mercedes to go through, but what about, yeah, exactly that, what I was about to say, the Honda, because they're going to get boxed in here. Valerio Gallo loses 1 place, loses 2 places potentially, because